Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, Waja Shong. Kaja Ikushima, Wani me kona me Waja Shong. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, Waja Shong. Waja Waja Shong. Manchester, no Sumanguru, walk where Waja Shong. What's to do, Wamasa, Yasan, Waja Shong. Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, Waja Shong. Aquacaba, Chimoya, Fokaracha, Akachmoya, Anunyam Feng.
Hello, hi, my name is Calibos, the only boss with one S. I'm sure you've heard about Tap Send. Yes, I'm here to tell you Tap Send is the secure way to send money from UK, from the US, from Canada, from Europe to Africa or Asia with no fee. Very fast and very secure. So what are you waiting for? Get onto that platform. It's Tap Send. You can find it on the App Store or Play Store. And guess what? If you use the promo code Calibos, you get for your first transaction you make $10 free. If you're from the US and you're from the UK, it's £5 free. And from Europe, anywhere in Europe, you get €5 free. It's Tap Send.
Me did the young antechua, and maybe I'm discovered for Europe. I come a bushing for Ghana. No, me used to tap send. Tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Aye easy, aye convenient, aye fast, and sounds so free. Won't you share? Me discover aye map him. Tap send. Intienne. Also download the Tap Send app. No, ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka come a bushing for Ghana for na. Tap send. Papa no.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, audience for tonight. Welcome back to the Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum after a month of break. I want to take the opportunity to wish you all a happy new year. We thank God and Allah for keeping us all together and seeing a new year. And we pray and hope that the year ahead of us, as we've already spent almost 1 month, will be kind to all of us all and our families. So welcome, audience, to this forum again. This is a one-stop shop to know the information you want to know, all the awareness programs, all the initiatives that goes on here will be kept going. One of the good things that came out of the pandemic is that we can now reach out to you from the comfort of your home and still get the information to your doorstep without you having to travel outside your door. So we pray that you continue to be our audience and continue to support the program as we continue to deliver very informative, educative information that you will need for the future ahead of us. Some of these will be Ghana, some of this will be UK, and one of the key issues that we are going to talk about today is for those of us in the diaspora and in Ghana, I believe, who may come into some sort of difficulty with the law when it comes to nationality. So tonight, for you to have a fresh memory of what we are used to doing, as a forum, we will make sure that all your icons are muted, you will be muted throughout the night. You wouldn't have the right to share any information with us except the speaker. And whenever possible, if you're about to speak, please raise your hand or use the Zoom icon to show us that you want to ask us a question. Tonight is about you, it's not about me. It's just for you to have the opportunity to ask more questions to the experts who come on the program and answer your questions and talk to us about the issues that we are about to discuss tonight. This program is brought to you by the kind courtesy of Send. Tap, all your money in the right place, secure, fast, reliable. Please take a look, visit their website and make use of them. We also have IT Consortium, Chango, those who want to build a family network of sending money to Ghana or either to support a school project or anything that you believe you can work with other people to achieve. Chango is your best bet. And also we have in partnership with Ghana Union, of course, I'm the chairman of Ghana Union, Emmanuel Kusikwesi. Ghana Union, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, the Western Region Association of Nurses UK, and the Nightingale Nurses Association UK, put together and bringing to you live at the comfort of your home, on Zoom, on Facebook, on YouTube, the Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. It is supported and endorsed by the Ghana High Commission for the voice of Ghanaians across the UK, for those who want to be part of making the difference in our society. I will have a singular honor to introduce to you somebody who I believe by now some of you may not need any other introduction, but it's worth saying that he's a Ghanaian barrister and a solicitor to the Supreme Court of England and Wales. He's been practicing as a lawyer in England since August 1992. His practice over the years have spanned from criminal law, civil litigation, family and children, including care proceedings, matrimonial and finance. He now specializes in family law and immigration and asylum laws, including appeals and judicial reviews. As a result of his specialist area of work, he holds 2 Law Society quality marks in the area of family and immigration law, such marks that you and I can use to help us if we want to find a legal person of expert and confidence to be able to guide you in your issues. These accreditations are awarded to legal practitioners and individuals who meet the highest standard of technical expertise and client service in specific areas of law. When you see that a lawyer or a law society endorsing any law firm with their logos, with these accreditations, you will know that the technical, legal skills and client service standards of that firm has gone through rigorous independent scrutiny, and they've been given that award. So you do so with confidence. You know that they are legitimate and can help you into the courses that you bring to their test. Since 2006, this man has run his own high street practice called BWF Solicitors in North London. For ease of reference, I would say it's just at the Seven Sisters Station, just around the corner from Seven Sisters Station, which is served on Victoria Line, if you want to see them. And they have been working on a number of community-led cases for individuals and organizations. He has by himself trained a lot of caseworkers some of whom have gone out to set up their own practice, and some of them have been appointed as partners in other firms as well. He is also a property investor in Ghana and UK, and with this experience in the property investment arena, he can advise on all aspects of property purchase, either here or in Ghana. Notwithstanding that, he volunteers a lot of his personal time and skill and knowledge for the cause of Ghanaian community. And currently he holds the chairmanship of this UK steering committee of the Diaspora Homecoming Summit. Audience, without much ado, I welcome to this forum Bernard Owusu, Senior Partner of BWF Solicitors. Chairman, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. I think it's gratifying to see the number of people who are on today. We're already doing 130, and I'm confident that we'll do more. That clearly shows that this topic is really of interest to a number of people, and it's important that we do justice to it today.
Thank you. And so we will go straight to the topic for discussion tonight. It's about new changes to the nationality laws that could take away your British citizenship without notice to you, or to, basically, it could be stripped out while you are holidaying in Ghana before you realize you can't enter, or whatever the course might be. So I will not do the talking. I will leave you the chair to take the chair and run with us, please, Mr. Owusu, if you can.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening again. So what I was seek to do is to talk about where we are now, where they want us to go, and where I think good people of the United Kingdom want us to be. So where we are now, we are currently with the primary legislation, which is called the British Nationality Act. And the relevant portions of the Nationality Act is Section 40. Section 40 is the one that gives power to the Secretary of State. And when it says Secretary of State, it means the Home Secretary. Currently will be Priti Patel. It gives her power to take away your British citizenship. And the technical word is deprivation. So you're deprived of your nationality. Now, the various subsections of Section 40. Section 1 defines the types of British citizens. And then we've got Section 2, which clearly says that the Secretary of State has power to deprive any person of their British citizen if it will be conducive to the public good. So the word used is conducive to the public good. And this is any British citizen. Now, when you move to Section 3, it further says that that power to deprive a person of the nationality cannot be applied or exercised if it will make the person stateless. So it means that if they take your British citizenship away and you don't have another country to go to, or you don't belong to another country, or you're not a dual national of another country, then clearly they will not, or they cannot take away your nationality. And then we go to 4. 4 obviously says that if they want to take away the nationality, then those people who've naturalized or registered as British citizens, their citizens can be taken where it is in the public interest. So just pay key attention to these specific sections. So for people who were born British and not registered or naturalized, they can only take away your nationality if it is conducive to the public good. For those who registered or naturalize, it will be the only test is if it is in the public interest. And those who are naturalized, they can take your citizenship away for 3 offenses. So that's fraud, that's concealment, and that's misrepresentation. And those 3 are areas that they usually take citizenship from, usually people who are naturalized or registered. But the most important section, which is why we are here today, is Section 45 of the British Nationality Act. And what Section 45 says is that the Secretary of State must give notice of her intention to deprive you of your nationality, of your British nationality. Now, it is very important. There's a reason why notification is required, because the centuries legal principle of justice and fairness requires that if you want to do something as draconian as taking a person's identity, dignity, and citizenship from them, you must tell them why you want to take away that citizenship. My experience is that in some cases, when they are informed or people are given notice, they are able to contest the intention to deprive. So what Clause 9 is seeking to do is to add another subsection to Section 40 to say that the Secretary of State is exempt from giving notice in 5 specific areas. 1, if the Secretary of State does not have the data to find you, then she doesn't have to give notice. 2, if it is reasonably impractical to give you notice, then they will not give you notice. 3, if the secretary, if there is a diplomatic relationship or international relationship between the UK and another country, and giving you notice may affect that relationship, then they will not give you notice. The other one is national security, and then the other one is national interest. Now, these areas, as you can understand, are very wide. So, for example, if you look at the Webster Dictionary of national interest, it covers economic interest as well. So, what is national interest here? And my research over the last few weeks is that the Joint Committee of Parliament, which is both the Houses of Commons and the House of Lords, have done a report, which is a Joint Committee report on human rights in relation to this particular bill. And they have said that the excuse or the exemption is unfettered. Now, in law, when we say something is unfettered, it means that it's unrestricted. So it is too wide that they believe that it has to be curtailed. What they've said is that, first of all, that clause must not be approved. That's what they've said. And they said, even if they want to approve that clause, they must also add another clause that this can only be done after the Secretary of State is taking reasonable steps to serve you the notice. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been in this practice for a while, and we are all aware of the mistakes that the Home Office makes, not can make, but they make those mistakes. The most glaring one, life-changing and dehumanizing one, is the one that we all know, the Windrush generation. These were people who came here in the 40s, in the 50s. Almost all of them were British citizens when they arrived. Their children were British citizens. Not that they came here of their own volition, they were invited to come. And unfortunately, they assume that as their citizenship is British, it is permanent. We all saw in 2008 when the scandal broke. Now, when you go back to 2013, the Secretary of State at the time was warned by many, many organizations that this particular Windrush issue may cause a difficulty for the country. They said the hostile environment policy, which is what gave rise to this scandal, was not thoughtful, it was draconian, and it was inhuman. It is those same words that it's being used now. Hundreds of thousands of people have signed a petition to say, please look at it. Because the way that this process is going, it seems to enforce the notion of the dramatic erosion of our citizenship right, because citizenship is a right, it's not a privilege. And citizenship and immigration are two different concepts. So citizenship is not about immigration. Immigration is totally different. So if somebody tells you this is being brought because we want to control immigration, it's a lie. And I've also heard, oh, don't worry, this is only about terrorists. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've just read today in the Evening Standard, where a 15-year-old girl was alleged to have joined a terrorist group. The court has thrown out the deprivation order because in the court's view, she's not. And this is why we are calling that they should hasten slowly. And in their haste, they seem to be taking along, unfortunately, a certain aspects of our community, which is sadly us, the Black and the ethnic minority community. And if you listen to Baroness Wasi, somebody who was a chairperson for the Conservative Party not too long ago, if you listen to Chakrabarti, both in the House of Lords, the passion to which they brought to the debate, raising concerns about this particular clause 9 is of concern to us all. So my role now is to tell you exactly what we should be doing, and if it's past, what we should encourage our children to be careful of. Because I'm afraid if some of you thought that, well, I'm a Ghanaian, but my son was born here, so my son is not Ghanaian. I'm sorry, your son is equally as Ghanaian as you are, because Article 6 of the Ghanaian Constitution defines a Ghanaian as any person who was born anywhere to parents who are Ghanaian or grandparents who are Ghanaians. That is the definition of a Ghanaian. And that is why this is of particular interest to me, because those of us who have children here and grandchildren here, this clearly affects all of us. And it is important that we make time to speak to our MPs. It's not too late. Yesterday, I went back to the House of Lords, and they are doing what we call line by line reading at the committee stage. Already, I'm encouraged by the report by the Joint Committee, which clearly says that it shouldn't be inserted into the primary legislation. However, if it's to be inserted, that it should be curtailed in certain regards. This is what I say to everyone. In the exercise of deprivation order, it is likely that in certain instances, you will have difficulties tracing the person or even serving the person. But that should not give a blank check to the Secretary of State, almost an unfettered discretion for her to make the rules as she goes. We cannot trust her, we cannot trust them with our nationality. We cannot trust them to be making all the good decisions based on good data, because we are also aware that there's sometimes been issues with mistaken identity. Can you imagine, as I always say, that you left the UK to go on holiday as British citizen, and upon your return at the airport, you were told that unfortunately, you cannot return because your citizenship has been revoked. And the other issue that I candidly raise is that, can you imagine working and suddenly you receive a letter from your employer, you receive a letter from the DVLA or even from your bank that they can no longer give you a driver's license or a bank account because sadly your citizenship has been taken away. Now, the sad thing is that although under section 44A, there's a right of appeal, that right of appeal is a non-suspensive right of appeal. Now, when we say a right is non-suspensive, it means that if the revocation order is made or the deprivation order is made, you are as illegal as any person. It means that administrative enforcement action could be taken against you, including detention. But more widely, it could prevent you from earning an income, from working. And clearly, that means taking away your dignity, which means that if you cannot afford to work or you're not allowed to work, you may not be able to pay your mortgage or your rent. And clearly, it's also possible that you may be losing your house. Now, this is not scaremongering. This is real life issue. And we have something to rely on. What we rely on is what is ongoing, which is basically that the Secretary of State makes mistakes when it comes to some of this issue. So this is where I'll stop. And I can see there are many, many people, some of whom may want to ask questions for better clarification. I'm open to questions, and I'm sure Mr. Quason will be able to allow you to ask your questions so that we can even expand this further.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Thank you. Like I said earlier, tonight is about the audience. And the reason why we have almost 190 people on is because they are very keen and interested. So I will, as much as possible, make way for all the questions that need to be answered to come to your direction. What I do ask is that the audience will start raising their hands so that I'll call them in order. I have one question. You see, when the process of becoming a British citizenship is not a one-day thing. Take, for instance, those who come here from Ghana, from any other country, and they eventually become naturalized. So if the Secretary of State is reversing that as a result of whatever reason, does that revert you back to indefinite, or is it just you've lost both of them at the same time, or how is that going to work? If you have
when you register or naturalize as a British citizen, you have upgraded your status.
Sure.
So the status moves from subject to immigration control to right of abode. The right of abode, the definition under the 1971 Immigration Act is that you're not subject to immigration control. So if somebody is not subject to immigration control, you cannot say that they still hold their indefinite leave to remain. So when you lose your British citizenship, you don't revert to anything. You are illegal, or for want of a better word, you have no status in this country. And as I explained, all the administrative enforcement actions could be applied against you. But the scariest part of this is you may not be aware that you've lost your citizenship. And that is why we're saying that the centuries-old legal principle of justice, fairness, and equity demands that if you're taking the most draconian of decisions, which is taking away a person's identity and their citizenship, citizenship has been defined as a right upon which other rights are built. And therefore, it is a fundamental part of your being. It is the very essence of your life, for which reason, if it's being taken, at the very minimum, you are required to have notice of it. Because even when your driver's license is going to be taken away from you, they write to you to say, this is what we want to do. And then it gives you the chance to respond. In the same way, if your bank account is going to be taken away from you, they write to you and give you the opportunity to respond. And we're saying that this step is almost the most fundamental part of our presence in this country. It is therefore unfortunate that the government believes that it is okay to take away your identity, your dignity, and your citizenship without giving you notice. I am against it. Hundreds of thousands of people against it. Considerable number of MPs and House of Lords members are against it on both sides. And it is important that our government listens, because we know when the government doesn't listen, we know where they go. And that's why we have the Windrush scandal.
Right, thank you. So the clarity I've got here is that once you become a British citizenship, you get right of abode, and that means you don't revert to anything. Once that is taken from you, you become an illegal person. You certainly have no means to enter, and that's as simple as that. So I think I've had these questions asked since this issue started coming. Oh, if I lose my British, I have my indefinite leave. No, you don't. So what I'm hearing is that you don't have anything. I'll go to the chat room and look at the chat room question. If there is any, then I'll ask those questions right. I'll have to log on to read that one, but
well, somebody asked, is the law purely for Ghanaians or Africans? No, the law is for every British citizen. But my experience in doing this work, and I'm sure most of our experiences, is that when it comes to issues of nationality and immigration, it is color that determines it. Unfortunately, the burden is on us to show, unfortunately, although it should be the other way around, to show why your citizenship should not be taken away. Sadly, we say it applies to everyone, but if you take a person who is a British citizen who was born in this country, if they don't have affiliation with another country, which most Africans do and most Ghanaians do, although they are still British, even if they were born here, they cannot lose their citizenship. And that's why we're saying that it's unreasonably skewed against the Black and ethnic minority, because at the last estimate, about 3 million of us still have some form of dual nationality or association with another country. The government, the law is not saying it's only when you have dual nationality that they can take away your citizenship. They are saying where you've registered and lost your citizenship, you can still take steps to go and take that citizenship back. So even if you haven't got another citizenship, and the 1963 convention, UN Convention of Statelessness may apply to you, they're saying that you can take steps to take another citizenship, and therefore they don't care.
Okay. We've got Georgina Williams, please. Your hand is up. Georgina, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, then I'll come back to the chat room. Are you with us, Georgina? You need to unmute yourself, please. Georgina Williams. I may have to move on if you're not still, if you're not following us.
I am, but
okay, thank you. You go ahead, please.
Right. So are they saying, is it because we have dual nationalities, that's why they're going to take the British citizenship from us?
Well, my dear Georgina, nobody said they're going to take your citizenship from you. It's not been said anywhere, and I haven't said that. What we're talking about now is the process of taking away your citizenship, if it ever came to that. That process now requires that they tell you that we're going to take your citizenship from you. They also tell you that, oh, Georgina, don't worry, you are a good citizen. You don't have a problem. So don't worry. But if you look at it critically with the explanatory statement, although the reference is made to terrorists when they're talking on TV, it says crimes and matters that cause serious harm to the country. So what can cause serious harm to the country? It may be fraud. It may be somebody who's, either done money laundering or, obviously, having paid their taxes or, abuse the tax system. That I'm not worried about. If you've committed a crime and obviously the punishment is that as part of that, you lose your citizenship. That is a process that we can go through. But what we're saying is that because the Secretary of State has unfettered powers in some of these issues, they don't give it a judicial oversight when they are gathering the evidence to make those decisions. And we're saying that with what we've seen with the Windrush generation, where they've lost data of people's citizenship, what means and what guarantee does it give us that some of us will not, unfortunately, become victims of this, either intentionally or unintentionally? And this is what we're speaking against, that it's important that, yes, go ahead. If you want to take my citizen, please go ahead and do that. But I'm saying, let me know. With the way that the law is being couched, it is the default position is not to give any notice. That is the default position. Because all the Secretary of State has to say is that, well, I don't know where Kofi Atta lives, so how am I going to give him notice? Well, I think it's reasonably impractical to give him notice. Or, well, for national security reasons, I cannot give him notice. Or for public interest reasons, I cannot give him notice. Or because of my relationship with another country, I cannot give him notice. And Kofi Mensah will be walking around in the UK or maybe outside the UK. Maybe he's got a job there. He's been there for a few years, 3, 4, 5 years. He hasn't returned to the UK. So he's not even aware, because there is an effective right of appeal when you become aware. The practicality of putting in that right of appeal, if you were not physically in the UK, has been considered by the House of Lords, the Court of Appeal, and the High Court. And they said it is not the most reasonable thing to do. It is always better to have the person in the UK fighting his case in court, giving evidence in person to challenge the Secretary of State's revocation. What I see is a fear of judicial oversight. It seems that the Secretary of State does not want to subject herself to judicial oversight. And it is dangerous, it is diabolical, it depicts of somebody who may have ulterior motive for what they're doing. Let me just tell you, just in 2014, before 2000, you couldn't take a naturally born British citizen. You couldn't take a citizenship in just 2014. So it is the incremental erosion of our rights and liberties that is of concern to us. Where do they stop? Between 1976 and 2006, this law, deprivation law, was made in 1914. Between 1976 and 2006, not a single person lost their nationality. In 2017, 145 people were deprived of their nationality. Out of that, 104 of them were for reasons of national security. And this is the concern, that with a gradual erosion of the checks and balances, that means that they will look at the decision carefully before they make it being taken away. They are going to make mistakes. And it is the mistakes that we're worried about. It doesn't apply only to Ghanaians or Africans, it applies to everyone. But I'm saying that most people here will not have any affiliation to another country, and therefore they will never lose their citizenship. It is more likely than not that is a Black minority, the Asians, who may have other affiliations, heritage with other countries, that may lose their citizenship. Rightly or wrongly, I say that this is unfair and the law not to come in at all.
Thank you. So somebody sent me a direct message saying, I am a Ghanaian born here, but my parents are from Ghana. I did not choose to become a Ghanaian because that passport was given to me when I was under 18 and I did not consent to it. How should my British citizenship be stripped away for something that I did not choose to become?
And Mr. Quayson, this is the arguments that we've raised. This young woman was born in the UK. For all intents and purposes, he is not Ghanaian. However, the Ghanaian constitution recognizes him as a Ghanaian. So he has not actively exercised his right as a Ghanaian. But God forbid, if you were to fall within any of the classification that they've given and your citizenship were to be taken away, they will say they can take away the citizenship because you will not become stateless. Why? Because Article 6 of the Ghanaian Constitution will allow you to go for a Ghanaian passport and go and live in Ghana. It's unfortunate. It's an unintended consequences of this incremental erosion of our liberties and our rights. And that's why we're saying that even at this late stage, you should speak to your MPs, you should speak to opinion leaders, you should speak to your community leaders, You should speak to your church members, your pastors, and your fathers, and the Roman fathers, and the Catholic reverend ministers. You should let them know that you have unease about this particular aspect of the law. Because currently, the Secretary of State still has power to deprive, still has power not to serve the notice if they've taken all reasonable steps to serve you, they cannot find you. Why do they want to bring this clause 9? And that is why some of us believe that there are ulterior motives. The intention is to gradually take away the rights of citizens of this country.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take a minute break. You can grab some water to wet your throat, and we'll come back. I can see a lot of people, a few people's hands up. I will definitely come back to you with a few chat group questions. But for now, let's take a second break, and then we'll come back to more Q&As.
Medidi ya nyantechua emrebia mdiska be free Europe akoma ebusuafo wo Ghana no me use tap send no fee mobile money transfer eye easy eye convenient eye fast and sound so ye free won't ya hwe me discover ye mapim tap send entienne also download the tap send app no e wo mobile phone so free na fesika komo ebusuafo wo Ghana afa na nyina tap send papa no.
Hello, hi. My name is Calibos, the only boss with one S. I'm sure you've heard about tap send. Yes, I'm here to tell you tap send is the secure way to send money from UK, from the US, from Canada, from Europe to Africa or Asia with no fee. Very fast and very secure. So what are you waiting for? Get onto that platform. It's tap send. You can find it on the App Store or Play Store. And guess what? If you use the promo code Calibos, you get for your first transaction you make $10 free. If you're from the US and you're from the UK, it's £5 free. And from Europe, anywhere in Europe, you get €5 free. It's tap send.
Okay, welcome back, audience, to the forum. This forum is put together by Ghana Union, the Western Region Nurses Association UK, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, and the Nightingale Ghanaian Nurses Association UK. We are televising live on Facebook, YouTube, and obviously on Zoom. Those on Zoom, the best way to ask your question is to raise your hand so that we can call you. Those on Facebook, please do put your messages there. We will have it sent to us and we will answer it correctly as well. We will have chat room questions that we'll go through. Tonight we have Bernard Owusu, Senior Partner of PWF Solicitors, taking us through some of the issues that has come to light in recent times that all of us should be rightly concerned about. I will ask the question from Facebook. And then I'll come to those whose hands are up, please. Someone is asking, if you have no other passport apart from British passport, what will happen, especially if you haven't got any other nationality passport? Or is it just that by virtue of your mother or father being linked to that country, that still affects you? I know you've said something closer to that. If you can explain that a bit more.
Well, I think for majority of the people in this country, and in most countries, nationality is not passport. So the fact that you don't hold a passport doesn't mean that you're not a national of a certain country. And therefore, although the question, I understand what a person means. Basically, a person is, well, I'm a British citizen. I've never held a Ghanaian passport before, or a Nigerian passport, or an Indian passport. So why can I lose my citizenship? Now, let me just explain this. So the topic today is about clause 9. The route to take your citizenship is what we're talking about. The reasons for your citizenship to be taken, I'm not contesting it. It's been there. It started from 1914. It was changed in 1976. The last change was about 2014. Even 2018, they did a current one, which is the regulation, which clearly says that the Secretary of State doesn't have to give decision, which has been found to be unlawful, not in accordance with the law, both by the High Court and also 2 days ago by the Court of Appeal in the case of D4. Today, we've also seen another decision where the Secretary of State has been pushed back by the courts, and they've told them, no, you can't deprive this person of their nationality. So we're saying that the reason why we're here today is that we should, as a community, speak to our members of parliament, our opinion leaders, and let them know that the incremental erosion of our citizenship rights must stop now. As Baroness Wasi said in the Houses of Lords, it started a while ago. It must end with clause 9. And we're saying that if we don't stop this, what else would they bring? I mean, I just told you that prior to 2014, if somebody is a naturally born British citizen, they will not lose their citizenship. But since 2014, the law has changed. And they're now adding clause 9. What will it be next? Now, initially I said the Windrush scandal affected Jamaica. Of course, it wasn't only Caribbeans. It was Africans as well, because there were people who came here in the 50s and in the 60s who have qualified under Windrush compensation scheme. But the indignity of losing your ability to work, to earn an income, to provide for your children, and to put a roof over your head is what we're talking about. What we're saying is that if they want to take your citizenship, which the law says they can in certain regards, they should notify you. There should not be a blanket policy of the Secretary of State's exemption saying, I haven't got the information to give you. What does it mean? What is I haven't got the information? Parliament is saying, take steps to get information. Parliament is saying, don't bring this. But if you want to bring this, then you must add a clause that you can only put the notice on a file without telling the person when you have taken reasonable steps to find the person, to get information to serve the person. And it is only when you failed that you serve the notice on the file. So all I'm saying today is that a clause 9 gives the Secretary of State an unfettered discretion. She's the only one who takes this decision. And I've been told that sometimes she takes it with a group of men. I have seen cases where the group of men have said, no, the security information we have, don't deprive this person of their citizen. She said, I won't listen to you. She went ahead and deprived this person of their citizenship. It started with one man. This whole thing started with Abu Hamza, one person. Today, we have 235 people listening to us who has genuinely concerned that this could affect, if not them, their children. And was saying that because the Home Office has the ability to lose data, because the Home Office unfortunately has the unfortunate ability to make mistakes as they've done in the past, hasten slowly. Make sure that you take steps to provide prior notice. The reason we say give prior notice is that although they will argue that even if you become aware, the case of D became aware of 10 months after 10 months of deprivation, you can still exercise a right of appeal. That may be true, but the British centuries old of judicial precedents, administrative justice, fairness, and equity demands that you're given decision before such dehumanizing action is taken against you.
Thank you very much, Bernard. I will call on Joseph Kwanzaa, please. Joseph Kwanzaa, if you can unmute yourself. You are muted, please. If you can unmute yourself.
Unmute?
Yes, fine. You're fine now. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Christian, and thank you, Bernard, for such an erudite discussion. I have two questions, two in one, actually. I would be grateful if you could tell us exactly what fundamental reasons do they have that have led to the birth of this Clause 9? Because I'm sitting here and I'm very scared that, so now if we do any thing in this country and one day you are asked to go, if you have a house, what's going to happen to the house? So it's very, very scary. And then two, P.T. Patel, in her own wisdom, is she taking advice at all as to be one of us and then be so inhumane and so wicked to us? Because I can't understand from her background that she's actually in support of such a, and I will use your word, such a draconian and dangerous position in such a way that we can one day be asked to leave this country. It's very insecure, and I'm very, very scared.
Thank you very much.
Joseph, repeat your first question again. Your question one.
You've muted yourself again.
I think he's been muted. Paul, release him. Joseph, unmute yourself.
Unmute?
Yeah. Oh, it's been muted again.
You have to unmute yourself again, Joseph, if you can. You've been allowed to unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Yes.
That's correct. So your first question was?
Please just put your question briefly so that we can go to others, please.
Yeah, I was asking if you could tell us the very fundamental reasons
why this
Clause 9 has been born.
Okay.
So it's very scary.
Yeah. So as you know, now and then laws are introduced, and it takes months, sometimes years, to draft the law. So this Nationality and Borders Bill has got very good stuff in there, excellent stuff, helping children who are stateless to become British citizens, and also righting some of the past wrongs about citizenship. So I'm not against the bill per se. So when the bill was sent to Parliament, it didn't have Clause 9. It didn't have the deprivation of citizenship without notice. It was inserted at the committee stage at the Houses of Parliament. And the reason why it was inserted was because of a case called D4. When we finish, just Google the case of D4, nationality deprivation. And the judges said that the law and the regulation which was drafted in 2008 was a secondary legislation. The 1981 Act is a primary legislation, and a secondary legislation cannot amend a secondary legislation. So if they wanted to say that because they didn't serve D4, because D4 was outside the country. And the only time D4 became aware that his citizenship has been taken away was when his solicitors wrote to the Secretary of State to ask for him to be repatriated to UK. Because if you're a British citizen and you are, caught up somewhere, the government has a duty to bring you back to the country and take all reasonable steps to bring you back. It was then that the person was told that we've taken your citizenship because you went to a war zone, you were a terrorist. And then he wasn't told. So the judge said, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to accept this. There's a fundamental mandatory requirement under subsection 5 of section 40 for the Secretary of State to inform the person that their citizenship was going to be taken away before that act is done. You didn't do that. She said, oh, I used the 2018 regulation. So no, that's a secondary legislation. So what they did was that, well, Judge, I'm not even bothering to come to your court anymore. We're going to change the whole thing. And that's why they took clause 9 on the 2nd of November to the Houses of Parliament, the House of Commons, on the 2nd of November at the committee stage and inserted it in the draft bill. Does she take advice? I'm sure she does. But the point is that where someone is bent on proving that they are tough, just like Theresa May did, hostile environment, were against the crime and were tough against crime and tough against Tony Blair did the same thing, is to show that machoism, is to appeal to a certain section of the community, is to say that we are for the interests of British people. Sadly, the British people are saying that we don't want this clause 9. It's been centuries old tradition of equality, fairness, and justice, that if you're taking somebody's right away, a right as fundamental as your identity, as your nationality is a right on which other rights are built. If that right collapses, your right to work here is gone, your right to driver's license is gone, your right to open a bank account is gone, your opportunity to have a roof over your head is gone, your right to your benefits is gone, because sadly, once, whether rightly or wrongly, whether they've taken the right decision or the wrong decision, once the revocation is done or the deprivation is done, even if you take the matter to court, the appeal under section 42 is non-suspensive. It doesn't suspend the act until the court says otherwise. Sadly, it means that you could lose your job. And the administrative enforcement, which includes detention and removal, can happen. So I'm sure she takes advice. But as you can see with some of the things that our politicians do, sometimes is to outcompete each one and outdo everyone to say, I'm the toughest. I can show that I'm the toughest. And that's where we are.
Thank you, Bernard. Somebody sent a message to me saying, I am a Ghanaian married to an English. If I have committed a crime or my child commits a crime, which country will he belong?
So now Article 6 of our Constitution recognizes children born anywhere in the world or people born anywhere in the world whose parent is a Ghanaian at the time of birth or grandparent was a Ghanaian at the time of birth as Ghanaians. So my children, my granddaughter, she, as much as she's as British as any British person and has the English accent, God forbid, if they make a mistake and there's mistaken identity, they could take their citizenship away because yes, it is true. If they go to the Ghana High Commission and they say, my dad has a Ghanaian passport, they will be given a Ghanaian passport. And that's very true. That's why we're saying that the reasons for deprivation is not what we are contesting. Right. That has been a decades-old tool to punish people. We're saying there should be fairness about the whole process. We're saying there should be equity, and we're saying there should be justice. The US Supreme Court has said that it is unconscionable to take someone's citizen without informing them. Out of the G20, only 3 countries can take away their citizenship: UK, US, and Turkey. Out of the G20, it is only the United Kingdom, as we stand at this time, that can take away the citizenship of its own people without giving them notice. Only if this law is passed, it will be only the United Kingdom out of the G20 countries. It is scary, it is worrying, and I know people will say, well, but I'm not a terrorist. Well, if you read the explanatory statements carefully, it's not only for terrorists. It's for people who've caused harm to this country. What is harm? Harm can be anything. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a concern because there is, and it's not words that we use, we just overuse. If you listen to Baroness Farsi, she used the same word. It is an incremental erosion of rights. And it is serious because up until 2006, between 73 and 2, nobody lost their citizenship. Not one person. How come suddenly in 2017, 146 people lost their citizenship? It's a problem. It's a problem that we need to talk about before it becomes law.
Thank you. So the message is that wherever possible, link up with your MP, link up with your church leaders, link up with your pastors. We need to build momentum for this because there's nothing like it doesn't affect me. One way or the other, there will be somewhere on the line that it will come to bite you in your generation. So let's not leave it down. Those who have seen petitions going around, please fill it or sign it so that we have enough numbers to actually get this matter debated properly. Because until recently, nobody knew about this, and it was going through down the corridors of Parliament, and nobody knew about it until recently. So I will take 2 questions from the forum, from the audience, and then we'll take a minute break again, and we'll come back for more. Horace Yamo, please, if you can unmute yourself. Mr. Yamo. And then I'll come to David Oshi Anoma, and then we'll take a second break, and we'll come back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much, Bernard. I got a question, and it is a scenario. I hope you'll be able to, give me some sort of answers to the questions I'm going to ask. Suppose a mistake has been made on my behalf, and the Home Secretary has put a mark on me, and I was out, and I came to the airport to re-enter Britain, and I was put into that situation that your citizenship is revoked. Would I be given opportunity, maybe, to come in to appeal, or from the airport I will be taken somewhere, to be detained? Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, the reason why your citizenship is revoked is to prevent you from staying here or from coming back here. So when you arrive, it's very likely that they will exercise administrative restriction, which is detention, or that you'll be sent back, but very likely that they will exercise administrative detention, and you will get a right of appeal. That is a guarantee that they've given. The guarantee has not been set in this particular law, but they've said it, and there is a right of appeal under the law against deprivation of citizenship. If you are in the UK, it's 14 days. If you're outside, it's 28 days. Bear in mind that it's not everyone who is given a right of appeal to the tribunal. Some people will go to the special immigration appeal chamber, which is SIAC. And these are people who the Secretary of State do not want to see evidence which borders on national security. So usually in those cases, it is the judge and also barristers and lawyers who've been cleared who may have sight of that evidence. The appellant himself who's been charged with a particular instance will not have sight of that. So yes, you will have a right of appeal. And that is why they keep arguing that don't worry, even if we make a mistake, you still have a right of appeal. I've seen the joint committee report. They are not satisfied with that you have a right of appeal, because although there may be an effective right of appeal, practically for those who are outside, how do they exercise that right of appeal? They also want confirmation written in law that that right of appeal will not run out until you've been served with a notice. But let me say this, the service of notice, which is required under sub 5, is for the notice to be served on you. The exemption, which is clause 9, is for notice not to be served for national security reasons. So we ask again, so if the notice to deprive is not served, when you're deprived, would they serve you? Because sadly, the 5 reasons which exempts the Secretary of State and obviously gives her unfettered discretion not to serve you are national security, public interest, relationship with a foreign country, lack of information to serve you, or reasonably impractical to serve you. These 5 reasons, it seems to me, is to give a blank check to the Secretary of State not to serve, because the current law as it is, if they want to amend it, all they need to do is that if the Secretary of State is taking reasonable steps to find you to serve, and he cannot find you to serve, he can file it on the file, which is the law that they brought in 2018. Sadly, it was a secondary legislation instead of a primary one. And that's why they're now bringing an amendment to the primary legislation. It's a problem. It's a problem that we need to ensure that if they want to deprive, they can go ahead and deprive. But please let the person know that A, B, and C. There are 3 reasons why notice is given. 1 is to tell you that a deprivation is going to happen. 2 is to tell you that a deprivation has happened. And 3 is to tell you that you have a right of appeal. Now, if you don't have notice, how are you going to know that you have a right of appeal? I mean, how would you know? And these are some of the reasons why the Joint Committee of Parliament has written this report. And I think everybody should find it and read it. They are very, very concerned. And these are Labour, Conservative, and Liberal, and the Scottish National Party. And again, in the House of Lords, it's independent person, the Labour, Conservatives, and Liberal. So it's a cross-party report, and it's a committee that reports on human rights legislation in this country. And their conclusion and opinion and advice is that this clause 9 should not be approved.
Thank you. I can say that the Ghanaian Methodist Fellowship, through the initiative of their chaplain and the CMC, have actually made the Methodist Church aware. And there's a petition that has been signed, and that will be going to Parliament. We need 1,000 signatures. So if you're a Methodist, please join the force and sign. And I do encourage the Catholics and every other denomination, Catholics, Presbyterians, anyone, faith communities, we need to rise up and challenge this. Not challenge it in a negative way, but actually make our voice heard so that something can be done. We have a lot of bishops and archbishops sitting in the House of Lords who will, I'm sure, understand where we are coming from. We will have David Oshianoma, please, and then we'll take a minute break and we'll come back. We still have a lot more time for David to, Bernard, to answer your questions. Thank you.
Chairman Quayson, thank you for another interesting program. And Bernard, thank you for your very clear and helpful submissions. My question is this: if the UK authorities come to the conclusion that a person's presence is no longer conducive to the public good on the grounds of national security or public interest or whatever, and the country to which they are seeking to deport them also dig their heels in and say, well, if your presence in the UK isn't conducive to the public good, we don't want you here either. We're going to revoke your nationality because of your bad behavior, just like the UK have done. What happens to that individual in those circumstances?
Well, unfortunately, you are stuck in limbo. Of course, if you're still here, you will be here because you cannot go to any other country. You will be here stateless because you would have lost your other citizenship as well. And the 1963 UN Convention on Statelessness, which UK is a signatory, which is part of this law and clearly has been stated within Section 40, that we will not deprive your citizenship if it will lead you to become stateless. And I think in that case, you can argue after the event that I don't have citizenship in this other place. They may also say, well, in the same way that you're asking us to restore your citizenship, you can ask the other country to restore. I hate to always cite the case of Shamima Begum, because clearly when we start doing that, certain sections of our community will say, well, you're supporting terrorists. However, as you can see, she's stuck in a no man's land. Of course, she went there, she went there as a child, but she's stuck there because Bangladesh, no, she's not a citizen, and we've seen other cases where Holland, I think Holland Dutch government, the French government have also taken their citizenship from some of these people who are now stuck in Afghanistan and Iraq. Listen, I've seen a question within our questions board, where somebody said, well, if you haven't done anything, why would they take your citizenship? The question I ask is, did the Wind Rush generation, did they do anything wrong? Those who were stuck in Jamaica for 7 years or more with no healthcare, no money, no accommodation, no family, they were not able to return to UK. And those who were here, who became homeless, no job, no NHS care, no benefits, did they do anything wrong? We know that when the apology came from our minister, Rad, who then subsequently resigned, it was because they had lost a lot of data. They couldn't tell who was British and who wasn't. Mistakes do happen. We're saying this Home Office is not Home Office that can be trusted. Since Labour's regime, they were called not fit for purpose. Recently, it's been repeated as not fit for purpose. We all know, especially those of us who work closely with them, that they have some difficulties sometimes. And I've seen cases where there's been mistaken identity. And it was only when notice was filed. My client was deported from America. When he arrived here, they also wrote to him and took his citizenship away. We went to court and fought it, and we were able to prove that he wasn't the same person that the US government was referring to. So I can tell you that mistakes do happen. And that's what we're saying: to avoid these mistakes, give notice so that the person can tell you and reason with you and provide you with evidence to show that they are not the person you think they are, or they haven't committed a crime that you think. But by the way, if somebody commits a heinous crime as serious as terrorism, as glorifying terrorism, don't you take them to court and have them tried and convicted? And then once that becomes clear that they are the person you say they are, and then you can proceed from there. But it seems that for some reason, this law is afraid of judicial scrutiny. And therefore, they will rather rush head on into these mistakes, cause untold damage. Sadly, and now say, although anybody at all can be deported, it is our community that suffers largely at the brunt of this particular, in some of these insensitive decisions. And I'm afraid until you start pushing back, you don't get anything done.
Thank you very much. Audience, I do say that if you have any questions, raise your hand. We will take a minute commercial break for us to wet our throat and come back again. Raise your hands or put your questions on chat room and we will attend to you shortly.
So, Emmanuel, there are questions here.
Yes, we will come to that if we may, once we finish the second break.
Hello, hi. My name is Calibos, the only boss with one S. I'm sure you've heard about TapTapSend. Yes, I'm here to tell you TapTapSend is the secure way to send money from UK, from the US, from Canada, from Europe to Africa or Asia with no fee. Very fast and very secure. So what are you waiting for? Get onto that platform. It's TapTapSend. You can find it on the App Store or Play Store. And guess what? If you use the promo code CALIBOS, you get for your first transaction you make $10 free. If you're from the US and you're from the UK, it's £5 free. And from Europe, anywhere in Europe, you get €5 free. It's TapTapSend.
Me did young Antechua, and maybe I'm discovered for you, Pakuma Busian for Ghana. No, me used to tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Aye easy, aye convenient, aye fast, and sounds so free. Won't you share? Me discover aye mapim. Tap send. Intienne, also download the TapTapSend app no ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka komo abusuan for Ghana fa na nyina. TapTapSend. Papa no.
Thank you very much and welcome back to the forum. Audience, tonight we are discussing the bill that will effectively take your right of nationality from you without any notice. And we have Bernard Owusu from BWF Solicitors with us. This program is brought to you by partnership of Ghana Union, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, the Western Region Nurses Association UK, and the Nightingale Nurses Association UK. It is supported by Ghana High Commission. And we thank the supporters of those who are promoting this event for us. TapTapSend, please take a look and utilize their services. By so doing, we can bring you all these innovative ideas and programs so that you can also become aware of what is going on around you. Bernard, we have a question. Somebody sent me a question. What is our country doing about this? So Ghana as a country, or even Nigeria, or West African ECOWAS, whatever that state body might be called, what are they doing about it? Are they just sitting back and saying, no, you can dump any rubbish that you don't find useful here and bring it to us? Or are they also going to tighten their rules so that you commit a crime, wherever that crime is where you stay? Because I know for sure we've had one Ghanaian who was sent to Ghana because he was in the banking sector. Everybody know about that man. I don't know if I should mention his name, but I'm sure everybody heard about the Ghanaian, who was working with one of the big banks in the city and ended up in Ghana because of an error he claimed to be. He was found guilty and all of that. Why should that person be dumped to Ghana when he's actually lived here all his life? He has probably no friends, no relationship. Why should any British citizen born here who has never lived there by virtue of their parents, why should Ghana accept such people to come there? Are we just a dumping ground? Or is this something we can do as a community to get our own leaders also to start rising up to these challenges? That's number one. And we'll go to those who have raised their hands, please.
Well, I mean, first of all, Emmanuel, I'm not sure. And that's why such programs, obviously draw attention. And hopefully, if people can raise it, I think the Commonwealth is better placed to raise it. Because they have direct access to the monarchy. And bear in mind that this doesn't become law until she signs. Of course, if a government is presented a legislation, she will sign it. But again, I think the Commonwealth can. And clearly, if you've created a hardcore criminal who then loses their citizenship, why do you want to export them to another country? It's a problem. I mean, I'm not one who is against the reasons for deprivation. What I'm against is a process that leads to the revocation or deprivation. We're saying the process is not fair. The Secretary of State almost is going to be given an unfettered discretion. And clearly, with the notes that we've read, these decisions are taken by her and her alone. And although sometimes she gets advice from the Security Council, some understand that sometimes she doesn't listen, or previous Secretary of States have not listened and they've made their own decision based on the way they've interpreted the facts. So, of course, we can lobby our embassies and our governments and, maybe the Commonwealth Secretariat for our governments to come together and say, well, listen, if you've got issues with children who were born in your country, yes, we are happy that they are also our citizens. Can you not bring them to us, please? And if they have a problem, prosecute them there and let them serve their sentence and let them continue to be. You have to reform them. It's not our role to be taking on people that you don't want. But of course, it's an issue for our government. I continue to say that, there's still opportunity for us to lobby, even the Houses of Commons. It's possible that the House of Lords will reject the bill. And if it's rejected, it comes back to the House of Commons. And again, amendments could be made. And I've seen what some of the amendments are. For example, they say that if it's going to go ahead, then they should add a clause which says that the Secretary of State must take all reasonable steps to serve the notice. And it is only when those reasonable steps have failed that she can file it without serving the notice.
Thank you. I have another question sent to me on WhatsApp. It's all about this great news. Tory government loses court battle in the fight to defend everyone's citizenship right. Home Office loses case over stripping citizenship without notice. Is that true? Have you heard anything of that sort?
What was that again?
It was on Twitter.
Yes.
Saying that Home Office loses case over stripping citizenship without notice.
Yes. That's the current law. There's been 3 cases so far in the last few months, because the current law is for notice to be given. Right. The law was amended in 2018 by a secondary legislation. which was a regulation. And it was to say that we can take your citizenship without telling you if it's impractical to do that. It is that law that the High Court struck down as unlawful and unconstitutional. It is the reason why they now want to amend the primary legislation. I think today, again, there's been another one where it's been said that the revocation is unlawful. And this is why I keep saying that it seems the Secretary of State is running away from judicial scrutiny. That is why she wants to serve these things under the table and proceed as if nothing has happened. Because just saying that it's impractical to serve, or that I haven't got the information, or that's because of our foreign relationship with a foreign country, or in national interest, or because of national security, we don't want to serve you. I think it's too broad. And the Joint Committee have also said that it's also too broad, and that at the very least, her unfettered right should be circumscribed, so that at least there will be some oversight with a notification being given.
Okay, so somebody on the chat room saying, what happens to those homeowners who own multiple of properties? If they were to be stripped, what happened to their assets? Does that get seized? Does that get sent to wherever they have been sent to? Or what happens?
Well, I'm afraid,
if the asset is not, if they did not acquire those assets through fraud, and let's say they have come into any other of the category.
Your asset is your asset if it's not proceeds of crime. So it's still your asset. It doesn't matter that you don't have nationality here or that you're going to be deported. Your asset is still your asset.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Another chat room saying the UK is using us as disposable citizens. They are using us to build, care, etc. And when they are no longer needed, we are dumped. Okay, I think just a comment. That is, it's like you're a good footballer until you become a criminal, then you are no longer British. No, but no news headline will talk about you. We all know that one for years. And then somebody saying, what actually has instigated this law at all that has actually come to Priti Patel's attention, given her background as a West Indies or wherever she comes from? Do you think she herself is she also not subject to this policy if it becomes to law anyway? Or I don't know whether her country allows that or not.
Well, under Section 40, any British citizen can lose their citizenship if it wouldn't make them stateless. We should always add, if it wouldn't make them stateless. So if it will make you stateless, then they cannot take your right away. I've seen questions in the chat that should we revoke your Ghanaian citizenship? I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's why we're doing what we're doing now. You should keep your citizenship. You should keep your heritage. It's our identity as well. The reason why we are where we are is because the judiciary, the courts, even today have told that, no, you can't just be doing what you're doing. That's not how it's done. Justice and fairness demands that if you want to bring charge against someone, you give them the opportunity to answer. I mean, in law, there are various principles, but the centuries-old principle of justice and fairness cannot just be eroded away by a simple fact that she wants to make it easy for her to take people's citizenship away without telling them.
Right. There's a question from, I don't know if it's a question, but it said, how will this affect people wanting to renew their Ghanaian passport and dual citizenship?
Well, this has no bearing on that. It doesn't affect them at all. If you have a Ghanaian passport, you should continue to have it. I don't see why you shouldn't have it. What I'm saying is that mistakes do happen. We are all confident that you will not be caught. But we said that, and as Baroness Farsi said, when they were young and their parents said, well, this can affect you, she didn't think it was possible until they grew up and realized that it could happen. And a clear, glaring example is the Windrush scandal. So mistakes do happen. And we're saying because mistakes do happen, and because it is human beings who are making this decision, and it is because this decision is being made in secrecy, it is important that a judicial oversight at the initial stages. And you can only have judicial oversight if notice is given. If because of reasons of national security, national interest, relationship with another country, you don't want to give notice, we've got a SIAC, which clearly is a court that has jurisdiction to hear cases where the Secretary of State has certified as a case that cannot be appealed under the traditional appeal system under Section 42. And therefore, SIAC will look at a case with judges who have been vetted to look at national security documents. And it's worked very well so far. And it is the reason why over 100 people citizenship were taken away in 2017. It is because SIAC did its job very well. And we're not contesting the reasons for deprivation. We're saying that please give notice. And that's all we're saying.
Okay, thank you. So in this scenario, you as a community leader here, what will be the right course of action for us as a community? I mean, we know other communities may do their own thing, but between you and I and others who are also community leaders listening, what do you think should be our right of action on behalf of our people?
Is to lobby, is to speak to your minister at church, is to book an appointment and go and see your MP, is to go on the Houses of Commons register and see those who support this and those who don't. You can check the videos who spoke for it and those who spoke against it, and check whether you can get somebody there who can go and influence them, is to go and speak heart to heart with them, is to come together as a community. Now, even just through this, you've even, enlightened me that we can even get our countries to be involved. Because the Commonwealth is cherished by the monarchy. And it's important that if we lobby, and we're lobbying our government, at that level, at the highest level, they can also lobby. They can lobby through the Commonwealth Secretariat. And the Queen cherishes the Commonwealth, that we all know. And she's got a voice. She can speak to her government and say, listen, we're not happy with this. The Commonwealth is not happy. And that's why this community event is very important, is to encourage everyone, one, to be mindful. There's something that I wanted to say at the tail end, but let me say it now, that sadly, there are children in our community who unfortunately get involved in gangs. And yes, I've read explanatory statement. They said even gang members may suffer this fate. It's no longer national security. It's no longer conducive to public good. If you do anything which causes harm, and I'll give you an example. Those people who were involved with that sex offense in the up north, all of them, those who had British citizenship, they've had their citizenship taken. So it's not only terrorists. So we should speak to our children, we should speak to our grandchildren, we should speak to our friends and advise them. I don't think that because you were born here, you cannot lose your citizenship. Mend your ways if you're involved in gangs and all those things, because your citizenship can be taken away. So in as much as we want to lobby for this not to come, it's also an opportunity to educate our children, those who are involved in gangs, and tell them that don't think that because you speak impeccable English and you are for all purposes English, your citizenship cannot be taken away. It can be taken away where your behavior is causing harm to this country.
Thank you. I'm sure you mentioned this and I did hear, but somebody's asking, what other countries have implemented this law of stripping people of their nationality without notice? I did hear
Well,
you said it will be
so
used.
far, the research I've read is about the G20. No one in the G20. It may be there are other countries. Those of you from Ghana, you know that some time ago, Ghanaian citizens were stripped of their citizenship. You are all aware why that was so. So yes, but as far as I'm concerned, for the research I've done so far within the G20, it is only the UK that can strip its citizens without giving them notice.
Okay. And somebody said, don't they know that is a human rights violation? How does that relate to a human right from human right perspective?
As I speak to you, there's been a 40-page opinion from top QCs who are specialists in this area. As I speak to you, lawyers are already preparing the applications that wherever this is done, there will be a claim against the UK government under Article 6 that is against the right to fair hearing. And clearly, if you're not served with notice to prepare your case, although appeal, there may be an effective appeal. If it's impractical to exercise the appeal from wherever you are, then clearly you're right under Article 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which, thank God, we still apply in this country. Yes, and they are confident that if this goes ahead and it goes to court, the judges will say that no, what you've done is against Article 6 and is therefore unlawful. So I am confident that with the literature and the materials that is coming into the hands of Parliament and the Houses of Lords, it's going to be helpful to make sure that at least this law, potential law, is amended somehow.
Thank you. We've got Pip on with the hand up, please, if you want to unmute yourself.
Thank you, and kudos to all the organizers and the lawyer presenting this. My question is, if you're a Caucasian, born, say, in Ghana, but brought up here all your life and you have a British passport, does that apply to you, being a Caucasian?
Oh, yes, yes. Those people who obtain their citizenship by registration and naturalization, they have a lower threshold for deprivation. Those people who are born British have a higher threshold. So the difference between 2 and 3 is that under 2, for those people who are born British, acquire their citizenship through birth, your citizenship can be lost only when it is conducive to public good, which is a higher test. For those people who acquire their nationality, your citizenship can be taken away because of fraud, because you obtain your citizenship by fraud, concealment. Now, I can tell you that even if you were known as Equia and you change your name from Equia to Ya, and when you made your application, you concealed this information. I've seen one before, they took their citizenship away. And also misrepresentation, they can take it away. But for you, the test is whether it is in the public interest. Public interest is a lower threshold. They seem to be saying the same thing. That's what the Webster Dictionary says. But when we say public interest, it normally means political, national security, and also economic. But when we say national security for public good, it means exactly what it means. The test is very, very high. Having said that, there are people who were born here who've lost their citizenship. So it can be done. And those who were born outside can lose their citizenship. And let me declare this again, that this presentation is not against the reasons to lose your citizenship. I'm not here to fight that. That's not what I'm fighting against. What I'm fighting against is that it's the process of that deprivation that I'm fighting against. And we're saying that notice ought to be given. And if notice is not given, it is unfair. It takes dignity away without considering the other side. In law, there's always a rule. Listen to the other party. Hear the other side. If you're not heard, how can they take your citizenship away? currently, you heard before they take your citizenship away, they write a long letter, sometimes as long as 15, 20 pages, and give a catalog of offenses and the reasons why they want to take your citizenship away. And I can tell you that it's very difficult to win if what you're saying is true. But yes, we've won some of them. And we've won it because the reasons for the initial intention was baseless. And when we were able to prove that, not in court, but in correspondence with evidence, they then said, it's okay, we're not taking your citizenship away, your case has ended, no action to be taken. So, I'm not, here against people losing their citizenship. I'm here against the process of that deprivation. And we are saying that at the moment, there's every power in the law for the Secretary of State to use, and she doesn't need any more powers.
Thank you. I think your message is clear. We are not nobody. I don't think you're here. That's not the intention. The intention is to be able to be aware that the process could put you in danger if you find yourself in any of the categories that can be used against you. And that is what we want our people to take home from here. Nobody's saying that the Secretary of State and the government are within their right to make laws, but it has to be fair, and it has to be fair to everybody that lives in the countries, and that is what we are all working to achieve here. We've got Dr. Forikwa's hands up, please. Doctor.
Good evening. I was on another program, so I came in late, but I don't know if somebody has asked this question. Is there any consultation with the country involved? For instance, if the Secretary of State decides to deport Kojo Mensah to Ghana, is there any consultation with the Ghana government before that action is taken?
Okay, so this is what happens. If somebody is going through deportation and they need to get a travel document, then they liaise with the Ghana mission. So if you're in detention or you're not in detention, they will set up an interview for you with your embassy, for the embassy to test whether you are Ghanaian. Or for the embassy to issue you with a travel document, they ought to be satisfied that you are Ghanaian. That is the level of engagement. If you already have a passport and they want to deport you, there's no engagement with your country. They just put you on a chartered flight and then they send you. And that's what happens to a lot of people who serve sentences here. Just remember that we're not talking about immigration. So the word is not deportation, it's deprivation. However, if your citizenship is taken away, then you can be deported. Because now that they've taken away your right of abode, which is your British citizenship, they can then subject you to administrative enforcement, which includes detention and removal. And it could be deportation as well.
Thank you. Somebody put it there, God will hear his children. Oh my God, thank you very much. So we all believe in God, but sometimes faith without action is meaningless. Let's put God on the side for now and do what is right and speak out, because God won't come and speak from heaven in the House of Commons chamber. That is what we are asking you to do. Speak to those who are there to read those lines and correct it for our good. Another one also said to Bernard, what happens if you have dual nationality? I'm sure you've answered that before, but I mean, it could be the person came in late, so please, you can want to go through. We still got a few minutes.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, they cannot take your citizenship, even if you fit the criteria for deprivation and the test is met, if it will make you stateless. If you have dual nationality, it will not make you stateless. So that is a simple explanation.
Okay. Again, I know you've answered. Can this law affect mixed race born, i.e. one born by white, one born by other race? I'm sure you've done that again. So,
well, I mean, if you've got a mixed race child, what is the heritage? The reason we're saying this is that if he's purely British with no heritage to another country or heritage to another country, but that country does not allow dual nationality, then clearly they cannot deprive him of their citizenship.
Somebody sent me another question. I think he said, what support does Ghanaian embassy provide for migrants and diaspora members in terms of information and processing of complaints on citizenship and statelessness queries? I don't know if I can answer this. I don't know if Bernard can, but it's something that after we've heard the legal aspect, we are aiming to have a chat with the Ghana High Commission, and they can do that. It will be unfair for us to say anything that we have no authority or no information to do so. So please bear with us. This is a process. The idea is that we take this legal view, give the ideas to ourselves. Hopefully, we are going to invite people from Home Office or government officials to come, where we can pair them with some lawyers, including Bernard and others who have read through it properly, and then we'll have a debate. So it's not a one-day job finished. We will come back to you, but it will take some time. Bernard, out of curiosity, do you know the timelines as to when this bill will actually be put to Parliament for vote, or is there any?
Oh yeah. It's been passed in the House of Parliament, House of Commons.
Right.
Yeah, they finished the process there. So it goes to the House of Law. Yesterday, they did what we call the committee stage line by line reading. So every legislation and draft, they go through line by line to make sure that everything is correct. But if they reject it, it will come back to the House of Commons. If they reject it, I'm confident, very confident that they will reject it.
Right. So basically, we don't have a lot of time left. If that is okay.
Absolutely,
we have to act. Okay. Somebody's asking, what is Clause 9?
So Clause 9 is a new proposed bill, which, if approved, will become part of the 1981 Nationality Act, and it will be called Section 44A. What it seeks to do is to introduce an exception or exemption for the Secretary of State to give notice. Currently, under Section 45 of the British Nationality Act, the Secretary of State must give notice to anyone that she intends to deprive their citizens. So the new law will say that she doesn't have to give notice if she hasn't got the information to give notice, if it's impractical, reasonably impractical to give notice, if because of the UK's relationship with another country, they will not give notice, for national security or national interest. So it's 5 new, broad, unfettered powers, which is going to be given to her, which clearly creates a default position that I will not serve anybody because I haven't got information. It seems to me that this process of stripping somebody of their identity and the indignity of losing potentially the roof over your head and your livelihood if your citizenship is taken requires that the care is taken in the process of making this decision. It requires the utmost attention of the person making this decision. And we know, and there's evidence in the public space, that they can make mistakes. And that is why we say give notice, so that you give opportunity to the person to respond to the allegations.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking around. They don't seem to have any other hands up, but we will go through 1 or 2 other questions I have from Facebook into my WhatsApp. So we can bring this to an end. Somebody is saying on Facebook that you talked about the deprivation of one's citizenship if either or one of either parents or grandparents are Ghanaians. Ghanaian authorities, be it Ghana High Commission or Embassy, would issue a Ghanaian citizenship document to have that person deported. But that was a real cause that Ghanaian It's such a long one. I think what they are trying to say is exactly what you said earlier. If somebody is to be sent to Ghana, they will have to contact the High Commission if they don't have a passport, and therefore, if they do, then there will be no need for that. I think what we need to do as a community is to try and impress upon our leaders in Ghana too, to try and look at clauses in the law that give it an easy option for them to do that to us without any. But one area that I'm interested in, when they said if their diplomatic relations with that country will prevent them from enjoying that relations, then they don't have to give notice. You said something in that lines, diplomatic reasons. So you've got, if they don't have any data about you, if there's no reasonable or practical way of reaching out to you, and national security and national interest. So if they have a national interest in Ghana, by virtue of that, they don't have, is that what that means? Or if Ghana has national interest here?
No. And the Joint Committee at page 66 of their report and their advice, they said that the reasons of foreign relation and public interest are, they said, far too broad and grant a dangerous discretion. These are the words they use. They said it's far too broad and grant a dangerous discretion to the Secretary of State. And they went on to say that there will almost always be issues of national security at play in the provision of citizenship. However, what is clear is why giving an individual notice of the fact that that citizenship is being taken away must come second to the UK's interest with another country. They don't understand why stripping your citizen of his right is of lower concern to you or inferior concern to you than your relationship with a foreign. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why you don't want to give someone notice because of your relationship with a foreign country. Why? It still doesn't make sense. And these are some of the broad areas that people have concerns with. Clearly, it looks like what we've heard is that where there's economic interest and that particular country will obviously want you there and you're already there, they prefer for the notice not to be given. Listen, I haven't had any explanation by the government as to what they mean by foreign relation. The Joint Committee of Houses of Commons and the House of Lords have raised concern about that particular definition. Sorry, about that particular word, foreign relation. There's no definition for it. And it brings in all sorts of interpretation because currently we haven't got any definition of what the foreign relation will be.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. There are 2-3 questions I'll put to you before you bring your closing remarks. In doing so, I would like to remind all our audience that this forum will continue to exist as long as you are able to join us so we can engage with you. Next 2 weeks, on the 11th of February, we will be talking about one district, one factory. As you know, our government in Ghana has given opportunity for those who have interest in wanting to invest in Ghana, either setting up a small business here and there, promoting an initiative that can lead to employment of other people. And so for the past 5 years, we've all heard 1D, 1F. We have a chief commercial officer who is one of the hierarchy in the team to come and explain how do you get involved? What are the criteria? Where are the areas that you are being asked to go and invest? It could be a small land that you want to plant some vegetables. It could be something, I don't know. But let us all come back again in 2 weeks' time and listen to this, because these are some of the things that Ghana Union and its partners are trying to do to let you know that there are other opportunities that our country too can offer. So on the 11th of February, we will be talking about one district, one factory, and there will be other lineup of programs coming up thereafter. Thank you. And Bernard, the last two questions I want to ask you from Facebook is that somebody is saying, I don't know if that is related. Do you have to inform the British government when you get a second passport? Say, for instance, Ghana passport? And then number two, can the decision of being stripped of your citizenship be appealed? And where can the appeal be? Can it be any part of the world, wherever you are, or it has to be UK? Please,
okay. So first of all, if you have a foreign passport, you don't have to notify the government. But when you're renewing your British passport, look at the form carefully. It asks whether you have another passport. It always does. And if you have the passport, sometimes they like to see the passport. This is why they're collecting those data, is to make sure that in future, God forbid, if they have to take your citizenship away, they will have the evidence that, yes, we know you had this passport, and therefore you're done national. Yes, the right of appeal is exercisable in the United Kingdom at the Immigration Appeal Tribunal or the SIAC, which is a Special Immigration Appeal Chamber. And they're very, very difficult appeals to go through. If you've been through one, it's because it can affect generations to come. And clearly, if you're unsuccessful, it means you're leaving. It's as simple as that. Yes, sometimes they take the citizenship and then you make an application under Human Rights Act and then they give you, but that's in the very low threshold cases, like people who've concealed information or maybe committed fraud to obtain their citizenship. Because the deprivation itself, the categories of deprivation, there's avoidable deprivation, and then there's a void one. It's a very technical thing which I don't have to go through. But yes, there is a right of appeal. If you're here, you exercise it here. If you're outside, you exercise it here. Can you imagine if you're in some village somewhere without electricity, no internet, and you have to exercise a right of appeal? Even to communicate with your lawyer will be a problem. And that is why the two eminent QCs who are exceptionally good in these areas have said, these are the words they use. They said there's an effective appeal, which is practically impossible. So although there's an effective appeal in law, in practice, clearly if somebody is somewhere in a village somewhere where they will not have access to their lawyer, they are as good as not having the right of appeal. So that's why I was saying always notify them so that at least they get a chance to appeal before anything is done.
Thank you. I was going to end it, but I've got Horace Yamo hand up again. If you can ask briefly, we've got 2 minutes to round up, please. You're muted. You can unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bernard. In case I want to, put some business your way, can I have your details maybe through Mr. Comsin, please?
Yes, I have the details and I will please send it to you. Thank you. Thank you. Right, somebody is saying, how do we get the Zoom details to join the meeting? Please, the Zoom meetings is all over the place on your Facebook, on Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum on Facebook. Just type the name, it will come up. If you belong to a group, I am definitely sure one of your group members or chair or vice is on my platform who will get it and send it around. And please, when you have it, share it so that others too will know about these educative sections. Please make an effort to go and see BWF solicitors with any issue. This is just an educative issue that we are dealing with, but they do other range of things, immigration, welfare, any other thing, family, anything that bothers your mind. They are based at Seven Sisters. Just as you come out of the station, they will be there and they will help you. Bernard and his team are doing an incredible good job, and we endorse their work as a community. That is all that time will allow us to bring this program to you. Thank you all so much. But before I round up, Bernard, any closing remarks, please?
So what I would say is that, first of all, don't panic, act. Don't be passive, be active. Be your brother's keeper. Yes, I know people say that, well, if you're not a terrorist and you're not going to commit a crime, why are you worried? Well, we're worried because of the history of this particular Home Office. The concern we have is that people should speak to their MPs, continue to speak to them, speak to their church ministers. But there's advice that I want us to take to our children, our nephews and nieces, our grandchildren, that they should never think that because they were born here, if they commit a crime which causes harm to the state of the British country, they cannot be removed, they cannot be deprived of their citizenship. They can. And I'm happy that the communities come together. Let's carry this message to our children, our grandchildren, our nephews, and our nieces, that just be mindful that the way things are going, because the explanatory document, which is almost about 250 pages, it's stated in there that in addition to national security, national interest, conducive to public good, they're also looking at people who are gang members. And if you cause harm through your gang membership, you will lose your nationality if it will not make you stateless. And if you happen to have a parent who is Ghanaian, a grandparent who is Ghanaian, you of course will not be stateless. They will take away your nationality. Let's just be careful. It's also an important message that we need to carry out there.
Thank you, Bernard. Actually, sometimes some of us, including yourself and I, who meet a lot of people at the grassroots level, we do meet a lot of Ghanaians. I'm British, I'm British, I'm British. Even though your place of birth says Kumasi and Takrady and Kukwentumi. So let us be very mindful what we do with our British nationality, because it has implications. There are categories of British citizenship, and that will all play when something dawns at your doorstep. We want to thank all of you for being with us this evening. It has been an interesting evening. Thank you so much, Bernard, for making the time and being through this session with us. We will call on you again. There's going to be a lot that we are going to do with you in the course of the year and beyond. And anything that comes to light that you think we need to organize a forum on, please feel free to also let us know. I appreciate all the audience who have stayed through, and we thank all of you. Please be well, have a restful weekend, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Same place, same time, 7 p.m. to 9. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a restful night.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, hi. My name is Calibos, the only boss with one S. I'm sure you've heard about Tap Send. Yes. I'm here to tell you Tap Send is the secure way to send money from UK, from the US, from Canada, from Europe to Africa or Asia with no fee. Very fast and very secure. So what are you waiting for? Get onto that platform. It's Tap Send. You can find it on the App Store or Play Store. And guess what? If you use the promo code CALIBOS, you get for your first transaction you make $10 free. If you're from the US and you're from the UK, it's £5 free. And from Europe, anywhere in Europe, you get €5 free. It's Tap Send.
Me did the young antechua, and maybe I'm discovered for Europe, Akuma Busia for Ghana. No, me used to tap send, tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Eye easy, eye convenient, eye fast, and sounds so free. Won't you she? Me discover ye map him. Tap send. Intienne, also download the tap send app no ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka komo abusuya for Ghana fa na nyina. Tap send. Papa no.